Yes guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another interesting video. If you're seeing me for the first time, hi, I am Reno. You're most welcome to my channel. For my returning viewers and subscribers, big love, big love, big love, big love. I appreciate it very much. So today I want to talk about Britain's immigration debate, yeah? It's a very polarizing and somewhat toxic debate, and it's something that has been going on for many, many years. I feel like immigration is something that's always like it's a hot topic. It's always like people are always talking about immigration at one point in time or another. When the Windrush generation came over to Britain in like the 60s, 50s, 60s, people were complaining about immigration then. You had people like Enoch Powell making speeches and stuff like that. You had signs saying, no blacks, no dogs, no blacks, no Irish, no dogs. So at one point, funny enough, Irish people were like on the same level as black people, you know what I mean, in terms of the hate and the scorn that they received from, British people, which to be honest, they were British, you know what I mean? But anyway, because they came from British Commonwealth, South Asia, Africa, you know, Caribbean and Ireland. I'm not too sure about the Irish part, but I know the blacks and the Windrush generation were definitely British citizens. So I feel like, yeah, it's a debate that's been ongoing for a long, long time. And now obviously it's, there's been a resurgence of people talking about immigration yet again, obviously due to the boat crossings, people crossing the English Channel to get to the UK illegally. Now, I feel like some people's concerns about immigration is genuine and it's valid and it's true. Like, imagine, put yourself in, like, it's good to be able to see from all points of view, and I can sympathize with the people who have genuine concerns about immigration. For example, imagine you being from an area which is predominantly, white, and you've grown up in an area that's predominantly white, and then maybe let's say 20, 30 years later, it's white, the white population is like 30% or like 20%. That is the case, where I live, where I'm from, Tower Hamlets, which is in East London. Obviously, I think, like, I'm not too sure about it, but like, I think in terms of the dates, I think in like the 90s or 80s or something like that, way back, it was predominantly white, the East End. You had the Cockney culture and stuff like that. That has very much so dissipated, with obviously, the influx of people from different parts of the world. So now Tower Hamlets is one of the most diverse boroughs in the UK, not just in London, but in the UK. Like, it's ranked up there at the top as one of the most diverse boroughs in the UK. So that says it all, I mean? So I can understand why certain people will feel like, their area has been overtaken, it's been overrun by foreigners. I can understand. I mean? Anyone can understand, your way of life, your culture and stuff like that, it's all gone and stuff. I can understand. But some of it is the white people or the said people have to take responsibility for that loss of culture as well. Because if everyone just, because what happened was, a lot of the white Cockney people, they left white flight. It's called white flight. They left and went to Kent, went to Essex. You get me? So they've abandoned everything. They just said, look, I'm running, have it. You know what I mean? So they left it to foreign people and to immigrants to essentially take over the area. You know what I mean? Because you left it. Had you stayed and stood your ground, then maybe, it wouldn't have been overtaken. But that's another story for another day. But yeah, so some people have genuine concerns. They're seeing so many areas changing, and, they feel like, it's the British towns and whatnot are becoming too diverse. That's fine. They have a genuine concern about people coming illegally across the water, and being housed in hotels where they are not living a luxury lifestyle, as is portrayed sometimes in the fake news, the media and on social media as well. But I can understand people's genuine concern. I have no problem with that. I can understand and sympathize with their concern, right? But the part where I don't sympathize is when people start the racist part, because there's a part where it's genuine and you have genuine concerns, and then it becomes racist. Like I saw one time on I think it was on YouTube. Yes, I saw a documentary, and I can't remember the guy's name, but I'll insert the clip here.
Because many of the people who are coming in, the 80% of migration that's coming in from outside of Europe, let's be completely blunt and just get to the point, we're importing cultures that are either radically different or incompatible with our own, and I would argue are inferior to Western cultures and civilization. So
yes, and so it's basically, as you saw, the guy was talking about how certain cultures are inferior to British culture. I think that is racist. That is highly, highly racist and highly, highly disrespectful. There's no way, like, we're all equal in the eyes of God, right? So how can certain cultures be inferior to other cultures? I think this is all racist now. It's gone from being a genuine concern about immigration to being straight up racist. It's straight up racist, bro. There's no two ways about it. You get me? Because I don't understand how other people's cultures are inferior. You know what I mean? That's the same kind of sentiment that they had during the British Empire, during their colonial days, when they went around to different people's countries, different parts of the world, claiming that our culture is the best and the dominant culture, and our culture is superior, and so we need to go to other countries, subdue them, and then because their culture is inferior. I think all of this kind of talk is racist. Yes, it's racist. I also saw recently where this lady, she was talking about how on adverts, it drives her mad that she sees a lot of adverts containing Black and Asian people.
I think Stuart's absolutely right. Drives me mad when I see adverts full of Black people, full of Asian people, full of, people that basically are anything.
What's wrong with that, Sarah? What's wwrong with that?
Well, it doesn't reflect our society, and
why would an advert showing or portray or containing Black and Asian people, Black and Asian faces, why would that drive you mad? That's racist. You know what I mean? It's understandable if you don't like it because it does not, you know what I mean? It's your wording as well, which kind of says it all, how you really feel. Why would an advert or adverts showing Black and Asian faces drive you mad? You know what I mean? You may not like it, you may dislike it because you feel like, it doesn't portray Britain's, the statistics, the demographic statistics. That's fair enough. Okay, I would understand that point. But when you say it drives you mad because you see a lot of Black and brown faces, that's straight up racist. Do you see what I mean? So there's having genuine concern, that's understandable. But when you start talking about inferior cultures and talking about, seeing Black and brown faces on adverts driving you mad, this is all racist now. It's all racist. And then this whole talk about, people coming over illegally, which they shouldn't do, but, there should be safe and legal routes for people to come over to the UK. But this whole narrative about save the children, our children are being molested, our women aren't safe and stuff like that. There may be some genuine, there may be some truth to that. Maybe, because I have heard certain areas, if you're dressed in a certain kind of way, you will be, approached, stopped, accosted by people saying, you need to cover up. This is a more, a conservative area and whatnot. So there may be some, and obviously I think some of the migrants have, molested children or whatnot. You know what I mean? So there is some truth to that concern again. But again, I feel like it is based on racist sentiments because, there are white pedophiles too. They're not just pedophiles that are migrants, there are white pedophiles too. And there's not a whole uproar and about, about white pedophiles, but because it's foreign pedophiles, it's a problem. I think there needs to be you need to keep the same energy for each, you know what I mean, each circumstance, each situation, and not be so enraged about, you know, one thing when it's one person, when it's one group of people doing a certain act, you know, versus another. You know, another thing is like the whole criminality aspect of it. Again, there are British people doing crime. Everybody does crime, no matter what country you're from, no matter what ethnic group you're from. Everyone does crime. Everyone. And you see that a lot, like when there's news headlines about some sort of crime that's gone on, and there's black or brown faces or people with ethnic names, you know, not, you know, quote unquote British English names, you know, people, you'll check the comment section and you'll see how racist people can be. Like, oh, deport them, or the usual type. Oh, you know, people are just so racist. They really, you know, vent and show their true colors in the comment section, you know, and I think it's not fair because, again, everyone does criminality. Everyone is into criminality, you know. And what smacks it, like what I can't understand is you can be born and raised in this country, yeah, paying taxes and everything. You make a wrong decision, or you in life, you know, or you associate yourself with the wrong kind of crowd or whatever, you knowingly or unknowingly do a crime, and then the first thing some people will say is you should be deported, even though you're born and raised in this country and this is the only country you know. You know what I mean? So I feel like people who aren't racist in your face, they go under the comments, you know, into the comment section and keyboard warrior and start typing racist stuff because they wouldn't do it to your face. I feel like that as well. But yeah, I think this whole immigration debate is two, I think for me personally, I feel like it's two parts, yeah? Genuine concern and it's just racist. And my thing is, yeah, at the end of all of this, yeah, Britain will never be the same. I think there's a lot of people out there that wish Britain would return back to how it was maybe in like the 60s or maybe even the 70s or the 50s, you know, or maybe like after World War II, you know, when it was like predominantly white, which Britain still is predominantly white. You know, it's predominantly white still to this day. But I think people would, you know, certain areas of Britain are not predominantly white. You know, I think that's the difference. That's the crucial difference. But people want to, you know, the UK to go back, and it's not going to go back. The UK, Britain has been changed forever. Forever and ever and ever. It will never, ever be the same. You know, the only way it would be the same if you have mass deportations of illegal immigrants, illegal migrants, as well as people, British people, BAME people, you know? I think that's the only way Britain would ever be the same. You get me? It will never be the same. It's been changed forever. Even if you stop all the illegal immigrants, even if you stop all the legal immigrants, you will still have ethnic populations in this country. So it will never, and you will still have certain areas that are, you know, predominantly ethnic. So it's changed, like it's changed forever. It's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same. And as I said, unless you're going to strip people of their British citizenship and mass deport people, it's not going to be the same even after you stop illegal and legal migration. So I don't really see what the end game of all of this is, to be really honest with you. I don't really see it, you know. And I feel like as well, yeah, people complain a lot, certain people, I should say, complain a lot about immigration from outside of Europe. But there's a lot of immigration from inside of Europe. You know, what about all the Ukrainian refugees that came here, that were welcomed? People were offering to take them into their homes and house them. But they don't keep the same energy for people from like Syria or wherever. You know what I mean? It's sad because at the end of the day, everyone is human, you know? And I feel like whilst Ukrainians, they are white, that's why they're, you know, there's, and you know, even migrants from Europe. I mean, to be honest with you, even migrants from Europe, like Polish people and stuff like that, they were complaining about them taking all the jobs and stuff like that. So they do it with everyone, to be honest. But I think there's more acceptance, there's more tolerance for white migrants than there are black and brown migrants. You know what I mean? I think there's more tolerance for European migrants because because they're white and they can more blend in to white British society, even though they have foreign names, you know what I mean? But simply because simply for the mere fact that they are white skinned, and you know what I mean, they tend to be Christian as well. That's why there's less, pushback, there's less, you know what I mean? They're more willing to accept them than they would someone black or brown. But to be honest with you, I think someone from the Caribbean is more I feel like someone from the Caribbean is more integrated into British society than someone from Romania or someone from Bulgaria or someone from Czech Republic. You know what I mean? Because someone from the Caribbean, they grew up under, the British Empire, British social norms, the Christianity, all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So they speak English, you know what I mean? They have English surnames and everything. So they would, assimilate into British culture, into British society, I think better than someone from Bulgaria or Romania. You know what I mean? But again, the difference is someone from the Caribbean is obviously black or brown, whereas someone from Romania, Czech Republic, Bulgaria is obviously white. So even no matter how British that Caribbean person may be, it doesn't matter because they are not white. They're not, fair-skinned white person. So, this whole immigration debate is a bit toxic, and it is a bit, it's a shame that like people can't see people's humanity, you know what I mean, our shared like humanity and, lived experiences. It's a shame. And then there's also this part, where people are saying they are economic migrants and they are asylum seekers. Now, obviously, any system can be abused. I do hear that. I do agree with that. Any system can be abused. So the asylum system, it can be abused. You can have fake asylum seekers. Yes, I can believe that. So that's what I'm saying. It's good to see things from all points of view. I can understand, there can be, fake asylum seekers. Yes. When really and truly, when you look at it, they are economic migrants. So I can understand, there may be some fake asylum seekers, but I think to close the door to all asylum seekers, people, fleeing and seeking refuge from war and, destruction and whatnot, I think it's unfair. It's unfair to genuine asylum seekers. The fact that, the asylum system is getting tougher and more rigid, and you know what I mean? It's really, really unfair. There are economic migrants, and I don't know. One thing I don't understand is like why they haven't. Some people would get visas and stuff like that, like the legal way. Why don't they go the legal way? I don't understand. Maybe they can't afford it. I don't really know why they can't get like visas, like normal visas. You know what I mean? I can't understand that. But whatever the situation is, they are coming illegally, and they may very well be asylum seekers, and they may very well be, economic migrants. So, that's another part of the debate as well. I'm not really like a political person, but obviously I turn on the news and I watch the news every now and then, and I see the debates, I see the discussion, I see what's going on. Obviously, it's all over social media as well. You see it as well. You know what I mean? You also see certain content creators going to certain areas and, portraying an image like, it's scary and it's dangerous and it's being overrun by foreign people, when really and truly, and they will do things to people to get them riled up. A lot of them, they call themselves auditors, which they're not really auditing nothing. They're just content creators. It's just content, bro. They're just making content. You know what I mean? They'll go to places, get people riled up, just get people aggravated and stuff like this. you know, and then call the police on people, and you know, they just do some effery, you know what I mean? They do some effery. But yeah, so the debate is, it's a big one. It's all over the news, you know, and yeah, I don't know what's going on in the UK, to be honest with you. But that's my take on the immigration debate and, you know, subject that's currently hot right now and making waves right now in the UK. What's your views? What's your opinions? Do you agree with some things that I've said in this video, or do you disagree with some of the things I mentioned in this video? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.